Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Man, I tell you, I'm excited to talk to Danny tonight about just some fun things that are going on in life, and also with the closed group and the things that are going on there resource-wise. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I should say I'm really busy. I'm really tired, kind of exhausted, but I'm doing great.
Which makes sense.
It's been a great summer. We haven't really gotten all the things done that we wanted to do because we're moving and packing and all that. But just it seems like every day we get up and the kids are still happy, and they're eating
plus.
well. So that's a good thing. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of interacting, any fighting, things like that between the kids, pretty much. So yeah, we're doing good. Getting kind of excited about a lot of things coming after the summer. I know, sure, I'm moving, buying a new house, yada yada yada.
New schools for the kids.
Yeah, that's cool. But 90 days.
I know.
90 days.
When this comes out, actually, it'll be less. It'll be less
than 90 days.
Yeah, for HomeDadCon.
HomeDadCon. You got it.
I actually put a countdown app on my phone because I was like, I really want to keep a track of this.
Mhm.
So based on this, right now, as we're recording, it's 93 days. But when everybody listens to this, let's see, we'll be at what? I can't count back from 90.
86.
86. Thank you. My math is horrible. So I appreciate that.
Well, your kids will get there in just a little while and you'll be like, why do I know every single multiplication and addition problem by memory?
I would love to be able to get that back.
Flashcards.
At 41, I would love to be able to get some of that back because I was horrible when I was a kid at math. So to be able to get it back would be great. And if I don't have to know how to do core, like Common Core, I'd be even happier.
Oh, I love the thing that I think when I talked to I shouldn't say I talked to him like it was me personally, but there was a meeting about Common Core and things like that and where the county was going. And I love our county. They've just done so much. But the big thing, which at the time I went, what does that mean? But he said, well, rather than math, we're teaching the kids mathematics and an understanding of numbers. And I said, well, yeah, I have an understanding of numbers. And he said, you do? Sure. And he said, do you remember your multiplication tables? And I'm like, I mean, most of them. I mean, it's been a long time. And he said, and having that is one thing, that's like, okay, this is what times what equals what. This is great. But learning how the numbers operate with each other and what they do together and how, hundreds columns, tens columns, ones columns, breaking numbers down into component parts. He said, your kids are going to be able to do like two-digit numbers multiplied by two-digit numbers, and they're just going to do it. It'll be a circuitous route in your mind because you're like, what are you doing over there? Why are you doing this stuff? But I'm really impressed with how the kids have picked it up at this point. Now, they don't have the, 9 times 9 is 81 type thing like I have, but I don't have anything near the tools that they have to figure out these larger numbers quicker than I do now. I mean, they usually still have to use a piece of paper, but yeah, still, I think it's really cool what our county's doing. And I don't know, statewide, even if that's the same thing, but I have to say, I've really enjoyed relearning how to do math.
I mean, I'm looking forward to definitely, my son will be in 3rd grade this year, so it'll be interesting to see where he's at. But I mean, he's been doing different times tables and things like that over the past couple of years, and he's picking it up. But I mean, even over our road trip, we were doing math with him a little bit, and it was interesting to see kind of like what he's picked up as far as things go. But I mean, most of it's like, I think the like 2 times stuff, like, what's 2 times 10, that kind of thing. But he's on his way. So who knows? We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I mean, school's on its way. It's coming around, but other than the fact that I'm ready to send my kids back to school, like I'm just
right.
okay. I mean, I get it. Like some of you listening right now, you probably don't get the joy of the fact of having an empty house for multiple hours on end this year. Maybe some of you do, and this is your first time getting to do that. And if so, like, I would love to hear what you have planned as far as like, are you going to be getting involved with like a part-time job? Are you taking on some sort of side gig? What's it look like for you? Because I think that's something that a lot of stay-at-home dads struggle with or get asked, ooh, now that your kids are going back to school and they're going to be in school, what are you going to be doing? And it's like, well, I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad. And they just look at you sideways like, well, wait a minute, like they're at school. I mean, doesn't that give you the opportunity to go to work? And it's like, well, for our family, we actually, it's like you have to go into this big explanation of things with some people. And it's like, for me, I basically say, well, no, because the idea is to have flexibility. Like that's what we want. But I'm also taking on some side gigs. And I think in this episode later, we'll talk about side gigs because that's something that we have in our closed group as a conversation once a week about different guys in the group that are doing different side gigs, that they're not just stay-at-home dads. But before we get into that, I just want to spend some time, maybe just the next 15 minutes, nothing too long, guys. So basically, I just want to talk about one of the big resources that we touched on in the last episode, which is mentorship. Danny has been a part of this push with the mentorship. It's something that Facebook actually put into play in groups, which I think is really cool because you get into these groups sometimes and you might not know anybody, or you might just be that wall, that flower on the wall type of deal, wallflower, just sort of watching things as they happen. And you see different people who are like, oh, that guy looks experienced, or that person looks experienced. And I want to ask a question, but boy, I really don't want to get ridiculed for it or whatever it is, which honestly, I feel like in our group, there's a good balance of asking questions and getting quality answers, along with like the jokesters in there that want to, stir the pot and just, be goofy or whatever.
Yeah, you do get some dad jokes. Almost, it's just who we are. I mean, we're not going to get too far away, but still, it's always well meant or well intended.
Right.
And you always have people that answer the question that. And what I love too is a lot of the times we come up with something like, man, I don't know, I can't find any information. How do I do this? What should I be doing? And someone else just went through that.
Right.
Or someone is going through that. You have so many dads in this group that have done, they're in the trenches with you. There's no difference in what they're experienced in and what you're experiencing.
Right.
It's really cool.
Well, we were talking about a little bit of that last week in the episode, and just the fact that, there are a lot of guys that ask am I the only one that deals with this situation or whatever? And to me, like that goes in line with like, you get guys who, maybe they're not life coaches or whatever, or maybe you don't want to deal with like a life coach. Like I've had some guys that I've gotten into contact with who do life coaching, and they're great. And I've definitely been able to like pull some things out to be able to think about and work on. And so I think there is a place for a life coach, but sometimes that comes at a cost, and if you don't have the means to pay for something like that, because a life coach typically that's their side gig. So they're looking to make money.
Yeah.
I feel like the mentorship program through the Facebook group is a great avenue that doesn't have a financial price to it. I think it has a time commitment. And I think that if you go through it, you should definitely set up a specific time frame or period of like, hey, I want to, do this. And the mentor should have a like, okay, great. Like, how about for the next like 4 weeks, we pick a day and a time and we meet once a week, that time and that day or whatever. But I'm just curious, like, I know that you're a mentor in there, and there are a few others that are mentors in there. It looks like we've got 8 mentors currently that are in here, which is awesome. I don't know most of these guys, but they all have profiles of who they are, how long they've been an at-home dad, how many kids they have, and kind of what their passion as to why it is that they wanted to jump in. I mean, and some of these guys in here, like, actually, I can't say I don't know them. There's only a couple right off the bat that I don't know. I mean, you've got Tim McMichael in here, and he's an awesome dad. He's actually foster dad, stepdad too. So, I mean, he's got quite the eclectic background. You've got Tom Hoffman in here, and he's, man, he's got a wealth of knowledge and he's been a zookeeper for like 20 plus years. So, but I've gotten to meet him in person. He's a super cool dude. He's done some amazing writing in his past. There's an OG, stay-at-home dad, Carlos Alden is in here. And I've heard bits and pieces. I don't know that I've ever met him before.
Well, no, because his kids are older now. I mean, his kids are 29 and 32 is what he's got listed here. And that he's still around though, and still in the group, I think is just even better. I mean, I would love to meet him in person. I have to say Carlos is probably, if I had to say, and I don't mean this bad about anyone else at all, but if I had to say, well, if I could have one mentor in this group and I could only choose one and I got to choose, it would be Carlos. I mean, he has just a great attitude just about everything that comes along. He's not there to make fun of anybody really, but he's there to have a little fun. He's there to help people, but he's not at all there to instruct you, be like, well, you need to do this and this and this. And it's much more about, well, I'm not in your situation, but I saw this when I was, running through that with my kids at that age. And this is how I did it. Although that may not work for you. How would this fit in your situation? And he's just much more insightful and thoughtful, I think, than an instructor or, I would say even than a regular life coach. I don't know. I've only talked to one life coach, so I shouldn't say that. But I think it's just really cool. He personally, for me, is just like, one of my heroes in the At Home Dad network. Though there are a few.
Sure. No, but I mean, he's been around for quite a while. I mean, he was in the beginnings of HomeDadCon and the National At Home Dad Network. So he's been around, and it's awesome to see that he's planted himself in this mentorship program as well. And there's a couple other guys here that I don't know. There's one on here. He's a military veteran of 10 years. So that's awesome too, for any dads who, are from that background of any kind. And you've got a former elementary middle school teacher in here. So, I mean, there's just all kinds of guys in here, and I love it. Like that, there's just a different avenue for everybody. Have you had anybody, have you been able to connect with anybody through this? Has anybody contacted you?
Well, let me say first, everything that we talk about, of course, in that setup is going to be private. So I'm just as a preface, not going to name any names or tell any stories or anything like that. I want to say that just in case anybody that has contacted me hears me start to talk, like, whoa, Danny doesn't have any secrets. Stop him. Somebody stop him, but I do have secrets, actually, things like that I wouldn't ever talk about,
Don't worry. Confidentiality is key.
Yeah, yes. Of course. And yes. And that's one of the things that I want the mentorship program to be bigger and better and more obvious, I think, more well known, because there have been dads who come to talk to me, and it's strictly in text message unless you want to do it differently. So you basically just get a text or a direct message, I say, through Facebook's Messenger that says, hey, so-and-so would like to talk to you about whatever. And the things that I'm more familiar with, of course, I fall more towards either multiple kids or, older dads. Unfortunately, a little bit older kids, I think that I'm probably more capable of talking about, rather than, like young children at this point, because my kids are not that young anymore. And then for me, self-care and mental health. We've talked about it in the past, but I do have PTSD, had anxiety and depression for a very long time. And this job is very depressing.
It can be,
because of the isolation of it. And it just kind of puts you into a place. And then if you have a tiny little baby and you don't really know, can I take this baby out in the world with me? And by the way, of course, you and I know, yes, absolutely you can. That baby will be fine. Right. Bundle him up if it's cold or whatever, shade him from the heat. But you can absolutely do these things, but you don't know that. And that original part of it is, well, where do I go? What do I do? Who do I talk to? That all can really roll into both anxiety and depression, even if you don't have any, I don't want to say, I don't know how to put it. I don't want to say real mental health issues, because that's absolutely still mental health. But as long as if you don't have trauma that you're dealing with, let's say, like me, it's just the normal day-to-day of the job. And something like that is something that several of the dads in the mentorship program have talked about and offered and are willing to speak with people about. And it's not completely anonymous, but it's just absolutely a secret. We're not out, telling each other stories or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had some dads come to me, and I will say, I think from what they've said that it was helpful for them. For me personally, I see the need for having mentors as being one of the largest things that we have as at-home dads specifically, but as men mostly, that doesn't get taken care of. You have a dad, or maybe you don't have a dad, but you have someone in your life maybe that you've gone to in the past beyond your direct dad. Like there's a lot of things that I couldn't talk to my dad about. There's different generations or whatever it is, but having the ability to go to another man our age or older who has that experience in whatever, it's how to fix your car. I mean, it doesn't matter, but things not specifically related to being a dad, just being a man, that ability to step to a mentor and talk to them and say, hey, look, I got this going on. I don't know, what that is. And I don't know, he goes, well, you need some cream for that. And use the doctor to go to, or whatever thing that might be bugging you. Just because being a man is its own animal in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And having the, talking to your dad is one thing, but okay, so my dad taught me how to shave, but my dad didn't really talk to me about all these little bumps I get on my face after I shave. That's a very basic explanation, very simple, sure, example, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think too, though, another thing that, I mean, and I guess you got to be careful on how you go about this, but I feel like I keep seeing dads who are posting about just, and we've talked about this a lot, like communication with their partners, with their spouses. And, I feel like the mentorship is a good place to be able to say, like, I don't know where to even begin, like, as far as like trying to talk to, the other person, the other adult in the house or whatever it is, or even so much as so as like, because I was listening to NPR today, and they were talking about postpartum depression, and I was like, they were talking about this mom and some of the things that she was going through, and like the story didn't really pertain in a way where I was like, well, dads get it too. Like I wasn't at that point, but I was just listening into the fact that I bet there are a lot of dads who either they notice their partner or spouse is battling with that, and they just don't know what to do. Or they try to do something and it's never the right thing. It just, it doesn't go well. And it's, one of those deals where at that point, like, I know for me, like if I was in that situation, I would be really frustrated, and I would be like, what do I do? Because I can't talk to that person about it, because that's not going to work. And I don't have anybody else around me to talk to, but I got this group that I'm in, but I don't want to put it out there in the public, because dear God, if I put it out there in public, like everybody like sees it, or even in the group. But I think the fact that it's sort of one of those deals where it's like, you can go up and, hey, like, I need to talk to somebody. And there are like 8 guys there that, maybe they fall into one of the areas, and you'd be like, what do I do in this situation? And even if it's not like, maybe they don't have the gold answer to like fix your problem, but with counseling, a lot of times it's just talking it out and giving yourself a chance to get it out, and then analyze it yourself. And then, you have this aha moment, and they never said a word. Like, that's the funniest part. Like when you go to counseling a lot of times and you say something, and then you have this aha moment, and they're like, oh man, thanks so much for that. And the person on the other side's like, I didn't do anything, and I've had that.
Yeah, my therapist says multiple times, she's just sitting, and and I talk a lot, but when I'm with her, I feel completely free to just talk as much as I want.
Yeah.
And I'm there to listen.
You pay for.
But that's basically it. And I'm like, well, so I'm going to be here, and if it's coming out, I'm just going to let it come out, and it'll be, I'll go for 15 minutes. Easy, just blah, 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 blah. And then the light bulb comes on, and I'm like, oh, it's this. And she just sitting there smiling like, yeah, you can include me in the conversation anytime you want, Danny, or you can just, go on and make yourself all better. I don't mind. And it's really cool that just having someone to bounce it off of, like a sounding board or what have you, just that someone that is going to listen, that may or may not be there to offer you a solution, but is definitely there to support you and to listen to what you're going through. And even if it's something that they're not really, that's not their, their specialty. Like if anyone had came and asked me about rebuilding my tractor engine, I could help you through some of it, but I'm not the I'm definitely, I mean, I'm going to YouTube it. I'm going to look up videos on how this stuff works.
That's a whole lot. I feel like that's
So
a whole lot different than when you get into like, unless you got somebody that has a background in engineering or plumbing or whatever, like that's not so much what the mentorship program I would consider to be about. Like that's something that you put in there for anybody in the group itself and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Can anybody help me with this? And that's when you get somebody that's like, yeah, actually I'm, a former contractor or I contract on the side or whatever.
I've got a pinging in my 4th cylinder. What's going on? Hey man.
Right. Exactly. There's always the group. And there's, ask the group because they're the ones that are helping. But I think that for other than those options, the mentorship has a place to be able to help, at least to be a listening ear like you were talking about. So hopefully, those who are listening to this, like that brings them to a place of like, well, I never knew that's what it was. And hopefully they check it out. Or even better, and this is something that I was just thinking about while you were talking is that, I'm getting ready to step off of the board, but I'm going to be around and doing stuff. I honestly would throw my hat into the ring of being a mentor because I like to listen and be able to just be a support in whatever kind of way. So I think that's something that I'm going to probably look into, getting involved with because, it's great that we have 8. I would love to see more. I mean,
we really can't have too many.
No. I mean, we've got we got over 3,000 guys in the group. So, I mean, the more the merrier, honestly. If you have a heart for wanting to just, be somebody that someone can reach out to, if you've ever said like, hey, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call or text me. You fit into the mentorship portion of things, honestly. Like that's really what it comes down to. So we'll leave that there. I don't know what's going on in my house right now. It was a huge bang. But anyway, so on to the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is side gigs. So every Saturday you post a self-promotions because we have a rule in the group that you cannot self-promote your side gigs and things like that because we just don't need a lot of that. Like, that's not what the group is for.
Yeah. This is a big audience for a lot of people. We have a lot of people, new members that come in that, and being part of the moderation team, I think you understand just like I do. We have guys that come in and that's what they want to do. They want to, hey, this is, especially, like fitness is a big one. Beach body coaches or whatever they might be, whatever, pills or powders they're peddling, let's say. And they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, this is great. Do you guys like being fat? That kind of post. Yeah. Okay. So now we just got guys that you can just spend your money on or can to spin your ad on or whatever. But yeah. So
So you post this and guys can get in there and talk about all the different side gigs that they have. And I'm telling you what, man, it is a cornucopia of what guys are doing. Like you get guys in there, you're like, you do what? Like, and I just pulled up the last one that you had from this past Saturday. So last Saturday you posted, this because it comes out every Saturday. There were a ton of guys. Like there's some guys that one guy actually joined the dad lounge the other night, which I thought was really cool. He's got some pretty things. So we've got a music producer. We've got a DJ that does stuff in here. He's always talking about things.
I know that dude.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to my boy Anthony.
Anthony. I know.
I love that guy.
I know he's Anthony Alvarez. Love that dude. I can't wait to meet him in person at some point. Yeah. So I mean, looks like a bedroom candy consultant. I have no idea what that is. I haven't even. I'm scared to click on that one. It looks like maybe cosmetics or something like that. But you've got children's book authors and comic book writers in here. I mean, guys that are putting pen to paper and doing comic book strips or comic books for that matter, or children's books. I mean, Vernon Gibbs, for instance, has already published one children's book about, basically it's a combination of not looking at people from just, the front of them, but actually what's inside of them. And also too, at the same time, talking about how there are different ways to use fruits that maybe look bruised or whatever. And I thought that was really cool. And he's done really well with it. So he's got a second book that he just kickstarted and is doing well with. So I'm excited to see that one when it comes out. We've got other writers like David Stanley, who's and that's the thing. So Vernon, David Stanley, and Shannon Carpenter, all three of those guys are going to be at HomeDadCon. And David is going to be talking about, oh golly, what is he? He's got something talking about promoting yourself as a stay-at-home dad. Something goes along with the side gig side of things. So he's going to basically work on like, how do you pitch yourself to people? And so I'm excited for him to be able to do
that's
that.
cool.
But, yeah. But then on the other part of it, he's jumping in a panel with Shannon and Vernon, and David's also published books as well before in the past. But he's going to have Shannon and Vernon talking about how they published their books, because they went about it in completely different ways. And so it's going to be awesome, because Shannon's got his book coming out, The Ultimate Guide to the Stay-at-Home Dad, which comes out, I believe, in October, either right before or right after HomeDadCon. And Vernon's got his books that are coming out. So those guys are going to be there talking. So they come in and bring stuff in. Matt Strain, he comes in here and he's posting about being an ambassador for Athletic Beer. And I mean, you just talked with him a couple weeks ago, and that's another side gig that some people don't realize is a side gig, because maybe you don't get paid in actual money, which sometimes you do, just depends, but you get paid in product. And for me, that's the whole, how do you get paid without getting paid type of thing. So that's another exciting kind of side to things. And really the thing that, we're highlighting in this is the fact that not every stay-at-home dad is just a stay-at-home dad. Like, they do other things. I mean, Kevin McKeever, which doesn't get a whole lot of talk about, but he's the editor of the City Dads Group blog website.
Oh, cool.
And he's a nationally award-winning newspaper columnist and freelance writer. And so, he's a stay-at-home dad, but he's also in here, and it's really cool. Like, he oversees the City Dads Group website and blog and newsletter and everything. And I know from like my Cincinnati Dads Group, I had a guy who, he loves to write. He doesn't have his own blog, but he loves to write. And I got him connected with Kevin. His name is Christian Lemon. And Christian has been writing articles for City Dads Group now for about a year. And it's really cool, like, that we were able to get him connected with that. So
before you get too far along that too, since we do have a lot of new at-home dads that have been joining the group over the last, I mean, it's been really just an exponential growth over the last 6 months or a year. So I think maybe you could tell us just a little bit about what City Dads Group is specifically. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the title, but I think it'd be good for us to talk about it, just so people that do understand, there's more out there than maybe you realize. So why don't you talk about that? Because you're definitely more versed in it.
Sure. So City Dads Group is a national organization based out of New York originally, and now it's in 41 cities nationwide, and also in Toronto, Canada. And basically, they're dads groups. So if you live in kind of a larger metropolitan area, you can look up the city that you're in and see if there's a City Dads Group there by going to City Dads, their website. Even if you live if you live like 40 minutes outside of the city or whatever, it's still worth it when they do a dad's night out to go and meet some of these other guys. Or if they've got an event where like maybe they're all going to the zoo, grab your kids and go. Like, that's what I'm doing tomorrow. Actually, we're finally going to get back into doing personal meetups. It'll be our first one, and we're going to the zoo. And I've got guys who are super excited about it. My kids are pumped to get to hang out with some of their kids. So
yeah, definitely.
But it's just an awesome organization that works to just bring dads together. And they've done some amazing things with different brands and with, just other different promotion type stuff. Like, there might be a thing where, depending on what city you're in, they might have a free movie night. Like, I know there's the New York City Dads, and I think maybe Chicago as well. They get to go see Space Jam, the new Space Jam movie, before it comes out, which, when this airs, it'll already be out because it comes out on Friday. But still, they get to go see it with their kids. And so, I mean, what kid wouldn't want to go see a movie before any of their friends get to go see it? I mean, that's huge. Sometimes they get like tickets to monster truck events. Monster Jam will reach out to them and stuff. And I know that New York has gotten to do tons of stuff because they're just such a big group. But I mean, they've gone to Broadway shows and things before they open up. I think they went to Lion King like a couple years ago. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I need some place to hang out with other dads and kids, or and this is the opportunity. So that's what City Dads is. And it's great. I've got one here in actually in Ohio alone, there's Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland.
Oh,
so
cool.
We've got 3 in our one state.
Yeah.
I know Indiana's got one. They've got Indianapolis. I don't think Kentucky has one currently. I believe there's one in Atlanta.
There is.
Yeah, I believe so. And I mean, they're all over. So like I said, most major cities have them. I mean, if you notice, there's 41, so there's 50 states. So there's a few, there's quite a few that we still don't have. So
but Brock, there's not a City Dads group in my city. What should I do?
Oh, well, in that case, reach out to me and I'll tell you. Okay. Honestly, that's the case. So I have spoken for the past couple of years to talk about how to grow a dad's group in your town even. And so if that's something that you're like, how do I even do that? Reach out to me, email me, message me on Facebook, whatever. And I'll talk to you about what it is that we do. I've got a couple videos from past years that I've talked, and you can watch one of those and hear what I say to the other guys and the questions that they ask. But it's a lot easier than you think. It really is. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Cool. I didn't mean to segue completely away from side hustles.
You're fine,
I know we talked about that a lot, but I think it's better that we talk about groups like this, like we don't know what they are.
Sure.
Because I don't know if you remember when you joined the network or when you were first to Stay at Home Dad, there's so much you don't realize when people start talking about it. It's like City Dads group. I don't know what that is. No, there's a group of dads just like you, probably in a major city close to you.
Yeah. It was the same thing with going. It's the same thing like when I went to the Dad 2.0 summit. I mean, if you're in, if you have a side hustle and you want to connect with other brands, like Dad 2.0 is the place to go for that in a lot of ways, because they can get you connected with brands at their convention. And I went there and I was like, where's all the stuff for the new person who's just getting into this thing? And like, I actually had to sit down with one of the creators and was like, y'all are like way ahead. Like I'm trying to catch up to the engine and I'm in the caboose and y'all are just like leaving us all in the dust. And they had to sort of realize like, oh yeah, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. We probably should look backwards and see who's trying to catch up to us. And they've changed some things over the past few years, because there were a bunch of us new guys who were like, what about us?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another side to it. So anyway, there are lots of different side gigs that stay-at-home dads have, and I think it's just amazing that we have a place for them to be able to talk about it. The last one I was going to put in here was that I found it interesting that we have a guy in here who's a former racing instructor, and now he is a race car driver on the weekends.
He was in the lounge. Did you talk to him?
I didn't get to talk to him.
Yeah. Did you see the video he put up?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh. Yeah.
That
takes me back. Just anybody. Well, sorry, if you're not in the network, you get nothing. However, if you are in the network, we do have I just would say bona fide street racer right there.
Yeah.
And it's not the Sports Car Club of America. It's the IBSCCA. I can't remember which one it is. IBSCA, whatever he's in. Yeah. And he gets out and you just, it's like 15 minutes really into the video before he's really driving. But it just takes me back. I mean, I don't drive like that anymore, but
he did a 24-hour race a few months ago, or a couple months ago, actually. And he was all like talking about, he's like, I didn't do as good as I thought or I wanted to do. And I think he finished like 5th out of like the whole field. I'm like, dude, I don't know about you, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is good work right there.
But anyway, I mean, hopefully, the things that we talked about today are things that at least bring a little bit of insight and, clarity to the things that are in the group. I know that's one of the things that I've loved about being in the group, and it's changed so much. I mean, when you joined the group, that stuff wasn't there probably.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was still a great community, but man, it's an all volunteer organization, and it has been, and those volunteers change years to years and what have you, but it has gotten better in almost every respect about everything that we do. All the 4 pillars of the organization are always just at the forefront of making that community advocacy, education, and what's the 4th? Yep, I knew I'd forget one. Community support.
It's ACEs. So it's advocacy, community, education, and support. Yeah, I think you got them all.
I don't know what I think. Maybe I did get them. Yeah. So, but anyway, with all 4 of those are great. And it's just been every year, I would say it's just been better and better and more opportunities for not just like opportunities for me to do stuff or learn stuff or things like that, but opportunities for dads to be out there to show who they are and what they're doing and their strengths and how we are just really good caretakers.
Yeah.
You know, we do it just as well as any moms do. You know, this is a part of our nature too. And that's, I think, one of my biggest things is we're doing this and we're rocking this, you know, and we race cars on the side. Just
no kidding.
Just
so I've got 3 action steps before we leave. So
right.
1, look up the mentorship program and decide whether you would either want to get involved or be, you know, as being a mentor or getting connected with one. 2, if you have a side hustle, find that promotions post that gets posted you can just seriously go to the the magnifying glass and type in self promotion and put most recent. It'll pop up and you can put yours in there and guys will be able to see it. And also it'll circulate to the top so everybody else will see it in the group. And then 3rd, we talked about it. I think you just barely touched on it, but this is a volunteer-based organization. And so if you have a special thing that you have a passion for that you want to share, you know, whether it's like graphic design or, you know, public relations or whatever it is, and you want to build into this community, reach out you can go to, or you can put an email to info@homedad.org. Or you can message me and Danny, and we also are volunteers, so we're happy to get you connected with whoever. But if that's something that you would like to do, please don't think that, you know, I don't know if they'll need me. We're more than happy to have you. Like the more the merrier. And we get, and that's the one thing that really helps makes this makes this community thrive, is that. So those are my 3 action steps. So thanks for listening to the show today, Danny. It was great to get to talk with you, man. It's always a good time.
Yeah, man. It always makes me feel better. You know, that's just very selfish a lot of times for me to be here.
It's all good. It brings my energy level up. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So. But yeah, so thanks for everything, guys. We'll look forward to talking with you again next week with a new topic. And please send us messages, like, review, and share the episodes. And we'll be back next week. Have a good one.
Yep. See you later.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.